Good morning. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Welcome back to Bookie Monsters. My name is PK, and we're having a special edition today. It is a holiday, and I have the day off. I am so thankful. Work is just absolutely stressful, so I did go in on Saturday and I got a small dent in. Not a big dent, but it was a dent that needed to be made. So I'm so glad to be here. We're gonna talk. I think we're gonna be a little bit freeform here. I think we will take a look at the mysteries that are new this week, but then I might show you what Spy versus Spy September books I'm going to be reading. So we will see. Uh, it is September 4th, Monday. Hey, Alicia, happy Labor Day. Are you doing anything special for Labor Day at all? Hi, Cajun. Good morning. Hope everybody has their cup of coffee. I got my cup of coffee. Keo has been walked his first walk. We will walk again later. And today here in Billings, last few days it's been in the 90s. Today it's supposed to be only in the 60s. We had a storm move in. I am so happy, which means, trees are going to start changing and stuff, but I just like the cooler weather anyway. Hi, Kay. Good morning. Hope you guys are having a very good morning. Sorry, I had to see what was on my shirt. Uh, so after sprints last night, I kind of jumped between two books. I was reading um, because that horrible book I read, Coffee Check, awesome, and multiples. This is a special and one. Yes, Keo really loves the weekend days because we go for longer walks because we have more time. But so far, my weekend has been productive. I have started and finished two books. The first one was good. The second one was horrific. The first one was a cryptic key. No, a cryptic clue. Sorry, let me bring up my Goodreads so I'm not fumbling all over the place. By Victoria Gilbert. It's the first in a series, and it will be. I have a backup, but I think it's going to be my scavenger hunt choice for new release this Saturday. So I got that out of the way. I do have another one I might also read. Let's switch to this one. Huh, I wonder why it went in reverse order there. That's weird. So the good book was A Cryptic Clue by Victoria Gilbert. It was really interesting, um, being the first book in a series, and it's a new release, so this is the only one out there. There is a lot of setup. I would say this is almost like an origin story to this series that's being called Hunter and Clue. She is 60 years old. He is about 30, but not diagnosed, but is showing signs of autism or things like that. So it's a really interesting series. I liked it. The not so great one, the one that if I had a physical copy, I would have thrown across the room, hit a wall, and done it about 5 more times, is this one, the last one. And it is the last one I will read from this author. It is absolutely horrific. Um, very briefly, it is a thriller, and she is 49 years old, and she and her boyfriend go on an ocean liner, a cruise liner from the UK to the US. And the first morning, go to bed. First morning, she wakes up and nobody is on the ship. She is alone, and then it goes from there. And I gave it 2 stars. The extra star is because it had me reading it all day yesterday. I had to find out what was going on. It got no more stars than that because it was absolutely horrific. So there it is. Let's go back to here for a minute because that's purty. Oh, which one are you reading? I like cozies. I kind of have to be in a mood for it. To me, cozies are, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, more cute than um, emphasis on solving the crime, which it really isn't the definition of it. The murder and all that stuff goes is off stage. It's an amateur sleuth. There is typically an element of um, a hobby or a type of store, crafty store, baking and stuff. So that's very awesome. Good for you. Who loved the last one. Well, I am of the generation, well, I don't know, maybe my generation did. I'm Gen X, who did not grow up on, did not like horror films. I think there's a whole generation that just went from horror film to horror film and just needed that extra. And there's some interesting commentary in this book about going to extremes, which is very, very interesting. Because it went to extremes. Why didn't I like it? Because it went to extremes. And the very last paragraph made me very angry. Okay, I have a few buddy reads and one other book I'm reading this month besides my cozy into fall theme. That's fantastic. You're reading a plus one from, but oh, very good. All righty. Well, let us jump into. We're going to take a look at first the mysteries that are coming out this week. There's not a whole lot. There's only 5. And then I'll tell you what Spy versus Spy September books I'm going to read. And it looks like 3 of the 5 are middle grade. Deep Haven by Ethan M. Aldridge. A gothic middle grade prose novel that follows a non-binary student who is drawn to the boarding school's Forbidden East Wing, where something stalks the shadowy corridors. When Guinevere Neve Tallow receives an acceptance letter to the exclusive Deep Haven Academy, they know it's the fresh start that they've been looking for. But things are strange from the moment they arrive. The house itself seems to breathe. Students whisper secrets in dark corners, and the entire east wing of the academy is locked away for reasons no one wants to explain. And Nev knows something ragged stalks the shadowy corridors, something that sobs quietly and scratches at the walls, waiting to be released. With the help of another first-year student, Nev takes it upon themselves to unravel the mysteries hidden in Deep Haven's halls. But will they risk their fresh start to bring the Academy's secret to light? Very appropriate for the spooky season. New Enola Holmes. I did read the first one of these, and I am not opposed to reading the rest of them. I just haven't gotten to it. Enola Holmes and the Mark of the Mongoose by Nancy Springer. In May of 1890, Enola Holmes is finally fully on her own and no longer hiding from her older brothers Sherlock and Mycroft, attending classes and occasionally pursuing her chosen profession as a scientific Praetorian, a finder of lost things and people. Wolcott Bellestier, the representative of an American book publisher, arrives in London on a singular mission to contract with English authors for their latest works. When Bellestier disappears on the streets of London one day, his great friend Rudyard Kipling bursts into Enola's office looking for help in finding him. Brash and unwilling to hire a young woman, instead, he turns to Sherlock Holmes. Convinced that evil has fallen Bellestier at the hands of rival American publishers who pirate the works of English authors, he sets the elder Holmes on the trail. But Enola is not one to accept defeat, especially not to her brother, and sets off on her own, determined to learn the truth behind the disappearance of the young American. Can book publishing truly be so ruthless and deadly, or can the missing man be rescued from his apparent fate and returned to his friends and loved ones? Good. Let's check back here. I think with the lineup I have plus school starting tomorrow, a list of cozies. Well, exactly. Exactly. After reading that horrific one, I definitely went for something sweet, and I'm reading Falling in Love. Yeah. occasion. That's what it has come to mean. But when it was first coined, it was not so Stephanie. It was not so Stephanie Plum, Goldie Bear. I read those. It sets were all cozy, even though some people don't think so now. Exactly. Um, Death on Demand was considered a cozy. Um, Interesting. Thanks. You betcha. Exactly. It really has. I've not seen the movies. Yes, they are based on the books. The books came first. What was that book you read? I missed it. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. This was the horrific one, the last one. Read it if you want to. I am usually of the type that will read things so I can have an opinion, a valid opinion, like Fourth Wing and things like that. And Twilight, I read that. 50 Shades of Grey, those kind of books I will read just so I know what I'm talking about. The ones I'm reading right now, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't add it. While we're here and we don't have a so I really, really, really needed something sweet and non-horrific. So I did start to read Falling in Love. It is Kindle Unlimited, I believe, on Amazon, and it's a romance. I am also reading Murder at the Royal Botanic Gardens. It's a Rexford and Sloane historical mystery series set in Victorian times. If you like Veronica Speedwell and so forth, that is a good series. And I'm listening to City Spies. All right. Next up, gotta fly. Mother Daughter Murder Night by Nina Simon. A fun, fresh, twisty debut whodunit about a grandmother mother daughter trio who come together as amateur sleuths to solve a murder in their coastal California town. Nothing brings a family together like a murder next door. High-powered businesswoman Lana Rubicon has a lot to be proud of. Her keen intelligence, impeccable taste, and the LA real estate empire she's built. But when she finds herself trapped 300 miles north of the city, convalescing in a sleepy coastal town with her adult daughter Beth and teenage granddaughter Jack, Lana is stuck counting otters instead of square footage and hoping that boredom won't kill her before the cancer does. Then Jack, tiny in stature but fiercely independent, happens upon a dead body while kayaking near their bungalow. Jack quickly becomes a suspect in the homicide investigation, and the Rubicon women are thrown into chaos. Beth thinks Lana should focus on recovery, but Lana has a better idea. She'll pull on her wig, find the true murderer, protect her family, and prove she still has power, as you do. With Jack and Beth's help, Lana uncovers a web of lies, family vendettas, and land disputes lurking beneath the surface of a community populated by folksy conservationists and wealthy ranchers. But as their amateur snooping advances into ever more dangerous territory, the headstrong Rubicon women must learn to do the one thing they've always resisted: depend on each other. That sounds interesting to me. So, what I would normally do if something is interesting, I would go to Amazon and read the first few paragraphs to see if that pulls me in further. I know, I know. I warn. Let's get rid of this banner. Next one, Scenes of the Crime by Gilly Gagnon. An ambitious screenwriter tries to solve her friend's disappearance by recreating their fateful final girls' trip in this riveting locked room mystery. It should have been the perfect spring break. Five girlfriends, a remote winery on the Oregon coast. Say remote. An infinite supply of delicious wine at their manicured fingertips. But then their center, beautiful, magnetic Vanessa Morales, vanished without a trace. Emily Fisher was perhaps the last person to see her alive, but now, years later, Emily spots Vanessa's doppelganger at a local cafe. At the end of her rope, working a lucrative yet mind numbing gig on a network sitcom, Emily is inspired to finally tell the story that's been percolating inside her for so long, Vanessa's story. But first, she needs to know what really happened on that fateful night. So she puts a brilliant scheme into motion. She gets the girls together for a reunion weekend at the scene of the crime under the guise of reconnecting. There's Brittany, Vanessa's cousin and the inheritor of the winery, Paige, a former athlete, bullish yet easily manipulated, and Lydia, the wallflower of the group. One of them knows the truth. But what have they been each been hiding? And how much can Emily trust anything she learns from them and or even her own memories of Vanessa's last days? Suspenseful, propulsive, and interspersed with scenes from Emily's blockbuster screenplay, Scenes of the Crime, is an unforgettable mystery. I'm gonna say it's the quiet one. It's always the quiet one. And last for this week, another middle grade, The Curious Vanishing of Beatrice Willoughby by G. Z. Schmidt. The Amadeuses were always considered somewhat strange, even before the incident. When 6-year-old Beatrice Willoughby vanished at the Amadeus' annual All Hallows Eve party, people in the tiny mountain town of Nevermore were quick to whisper they were always odd. Their house is full of dark magic, and when Mort Amadeus was pegged for the crime, the Amadeuses, once the center of society, retreated. They closed their doors, disappeared from life. People almost forgot. Until 13 years later, when 6 envelopes land at the doorstep of 6 households in town. We cordially invite you to a celebration on the 31st of October, this Saturday evening, at the Amadeus household. So begins the mystery of who was really responsible for the missing girl 13 years ago. Was it Duchess von Pelt, whose face no one has ever seen? Mrs. Raven, the keeper of the local inn? Wormwood, the Amadeus's mysterious caretaker? Dr. Foozle, the town pharmacist? Count Baines, who seems to know when unlucky things are about to happen? Judge Orpheus, who presided over Pietra's case originally? Mr. and Mrs. H, a couple who no one can ever quite remember? Or somehow might precocious 13-year-old Dewey and his storytelling dad Chaucer be somehow mixed up in all of this? The guests must work together to identify the guilty party among them over the course of the evening, but beware the ticking clock because at midnight everything is going to change. Told from different perspectives, this is a sly, darkly funny mystery filled with strange characters and set in a mansion deep, deep in the woods. Sounds kind of intriguing. Those are at least on bookriot.com. The mysteries for this week. It's not comprehensive. I think it's just the main uh, the main publishers. Tomorrow we'll start looking at the cozies and romance and so forth. All righty. So I was asked. Let me close some of these tabs I've got open. I was asked at one point what spy versus spy books I'm going to be reading. I have a list of, I probably won't read them all, but I do have a list of what I would like to get to. The TBR, the guideline, more like a guideline kind of thing. Um, so, oh, before we jump into that, I wanted to show you something more commentary. This was a fantasy series available on Kindle Unlimited. And you know it's been written by someone of the younger generations when there is content warning in the first few pages. There's physical assault, misogynistic ideologies, mention of infant death, mention of sexual assault, gruesome and descriptive death, explicit language, excessive drinking, and sexual content. And then in the dedication, look at this. And finally, to me, you did it. You wrote a blinkin' book. Sure, there was lots of tears and coffee involved, not to mention the plethoras of what the F am I even doing? But you did it. Remember that you wrote this story for no one other than yourself, just to prove that you could. So F the haters and be proud of yourself. This is something that you did, and there isn't a single person in this world that can diminish that accomplishment. I'm proud of you, kid. And I only say that snarkily because I was thinking about this. I'm going to close that down. I was thinking about this. We were talking about fantasy, I think it was last week, where the difference between the fantasy books that I grew up reading in the 80s and 90s and the fantasy books being released now. And don't get me wrong, I am absolutely tickled that there are so many fantasy books out there that readers are absolutely embracing fantasy, uh, romantasy, and books like that. Um, Occasions, yeah, but I had to share it. Yeah, a dedication to themselves. So that sort of encapsulates the difference I was noticing in the fantasy books. The ones that I grew up on, the focus of the story was the journey, the quest, the going from obstacle to obstacle, overcoming the obstacle, the character growing from that, and getting the ultimate goal. The fantasy books written now are so much 99% about the inner journey, about the girl or the guy and what their emotional journey. And the adventure is almost secondary. And that got me to thinking as I was driving to work after we had mentioned that in in the story was, and you can, it's, of course, this is very generalized, but you can kind of see the differences in the generations. Boomers were called the me generation, where they were exploring themselves and not buying into the what the outward world told them they should be doing. Gen X, which I am, was is very, who cares, get the job done, let me do it, leave me alone. And then the other two, and it's generations, and it seems to me to be getting worse, is watch me doing my inner journey. And I want you to be an audience, but also s- pay more attention to me than your own, or pay me to be watching my journey, praise me for my inner journey. It's 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 been interesting. We have chosen an interesting time to live here. Okay, end of commentary. Agree, you should definitely be proud of yourself, but wow. Good morning, Jen. I'm working from home today and wanted to pop in for a minute. Happy Labor Day. Fantastic. We're glad you're here. So I got a little off on a tangent there. We were looking at the new releases in mystery, and now I was going to be sharing the spy versus spy stuff that I was going to be reading. So I've already read Hawk by Ted Bell. That was very men's adventure ish. Um, it was about 200 pages too long. It was like almost 500 pages. It needed to be edited down. It was James Bondish, but sadly, as I've mentioned, I wanted Daniel Craig's James Bond, and it seemed to be more of Roger Moore's James Bond. And if you know, you know. I didn't hate it, but it was okay. The next one I read was Secret Service by Tom Bradley. I read Bradby. I read both of these because they were library books. Secret Service by Tom Bradby, first in a trilogy about a female MI5 agent. Really, really like this. I gave this a 4.5. Um, and I'm currently listening to City Spies. Middle grade kids are being trained to be spies. And I'm saving that to listen at work this week. So I started it on Saturday. The next one I'm probably going to be reading is Slow Horses, which is I also have as a library book, but we'll go in order here. Book of Spies by Gail Linz is on my TBR. It's first of two, and this just kind of checked all my boxes because there's books and CIA and secret societies. For centuries, emperors, historians, and even the Vatican have tried to locate Ivan the Terrible's magnificent library of gold, a long missing archive containing gold covered, bejeweled books dating all the way back to the ancient Greeks. Now, one of the volumes, the Book of Spies, has surfaced, and along with it, the highly secret book club that owns the Library of Gold. They form a cabal of the globe's most powerful men, men who will do anything to achieve their aims and protect their interests. When the CIA discovers a connection between the legendary library and a bank account linked to terrorists, they turn to rare books curator Eva Blake for help. Soon, an attempt is made on Eva's life. Determined not only to survive but to uncover the truth, Eva turns to the only person she can trust, Judd Ryder, a former intelligence agent with his own agenda and a troubled past. Together, Judd and Eva embark on an international adventure from London to Rome, Istanbul, and Athens. Somehow, they must do what no one else has been able to do: find the library and stay alive. So, that one's on my want to read list. City Spies, Moscow Sleepers. That is the last book. I've been holding off reading the last book in the series by Stella Remington, who was the head of MI5 at one point, the first female to be, and her female characters in MI5 as well. And it's a very good series. Slow Horses is probably going to be my next one. I think this one is next due back at the library. This is by Mick Herron. It's the first of 8 in the Slow House series. London, England. Slow House is where washed up MI5 spies go to while away what's left of their failed careers. The Slow Horses, as they're called, have all disgraced themselves in some way to get relegated there. Maybe they botched an op so badly they can't be trusted anymore. Maybe they got in the way of an ambitious colleague and had the rug yanked out from under them. Maybe they just got too dependent on the bottle, not unusual in this line of work. One thing they have in common, though, is that they want to be back in the action, and most of them would do anything to get there, even if it means having to collaborate with one another. When a young man is abducted and his kidnappers threaten to broadcast his beheading live on the internet, the slow horses see an opportunity to redeem themselves. But is the victim really who he appears to be? And this series has a lot of traction. People really, really do like it. And I've been meaning to get to it. So this is probably the time. Also in my TBR, Little Drummer Girl by John Le Carre. I never know how to say it. I have watched the AMC miniseries when that came out, and that's what that picture is from. It stars Alexander Skarsgård, Michael Shannon, and Florence Pugh, who is an up and coming young actress. It's a very good miniseries if you want to watch something rather than read something during this Spy versus Spy September. That is a good one. Uh, it says you want to catch the lion, first you tether the goat. On holiday in Mykonos, Charlie wants only sunny days and a brief escape from England's bourgeois dreariness. Then a handsome stranger lures the aspiring actress away from her pals, but his intentions are far from romantic. Joseph is an Israeli intelligence officer, and Charlie has been wooed to flush the leader of a Palestinian terrorist group responsible for a string of deadly bombings. Still uncertain of her own allegiances, she debuts in this role of a lifetime as a double agent in the theater of the real. So, having watched the miniseries, I am, excuse me, interested in reading it. And if I remember correctly, I'll probably be doing this as an audiobook because I think I liked the voice on that one. Also on my TBR, The Moroccan Girl. I think I talked about this one last week, recently, by Charles Cummings. This is a standalone, but he does write series in the spy genre. And this gripping contemporary thriller reminiscent of the classic Casablanca, a successful spy novelist is drawn into a real-life espionage plot when he's ordered to find a mysterious fugitive on the alluring but deadly streets of Morocco. Renowned author Kit Carradine is approached by an MI6 officer with a seemingly straightforward assignment to track down a mysterious woman hiding somewhere in the exotic, peerless city of Marrakesh. But when Carradine learns the woman is a dangerous fugitive with ties to international terrorism, the glamour of being a spy is soon tainted by fear and betrayal. Lara Bartok is a leading figure in Resurrection, a violent revolutionary movement whose brutal attacks on prominent right wing public figures have spread hatred and violence across the world. Her disappearance ignites a race between warring intelligence services desperate to find her at any cost. But as Carradine edges closer to the truth, he finds himself drawn to this brilliant, beautiful, and profoundly complex woman. Caught between increasingly dangerous forces who want Bartok dead, Carradine soon faces an awful choice: to abandon Lara to her fate or to risk everything to save her. Exotic setting, spy versus spies. That sounds very good to me. Also on my personal spy versus spy list, Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Rayburn. This was very popular when it came out last fall, and my mom read it. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet, so maybe this is the month. This Golden Girls meets James Bond thriller is a journey you want to be part of, says BuzzFeed. Older women often feel invisible, but sometimes that's their secret weapon. They spent their lives as the deadliest assassins in a clandestine international organization, but now that they're 60 years old, four women friends can't just retire. It's kill or be killed in this action packed thriller. Billy, Mary, Alice, Helen, and Natalie have worked for the museum, an elite network of assassins, for 40 years. Now their talents are considered old school and no one appreciates what they have to offer in an age that relies more on technology than people skills. When the foursome is sent on an all expenses paid vacation to mark their retirement, they are targeted by one of their own. Only the board, the top level members of the museum, can order the termination of field agents, and the women realize they've been marked for death. Now, to get out alive, they have to turn against their own organization, relying on experience in each other to get the job done, knowing that working together is the secret of their survival. They're about to teach the board what it really means to be a woman and a killer of a certain age. I think there is a second book coming out. I could be wrong. Good morning, Lee. Happy Labor Day. Thank you for coming. We are, at the beginning, we were talking about the mysteries that were coming out this week. There's only 5 of them, in at least in the mainstream, according to Book Riot. Tomorrow we'll look at the cozies and so forth. But now we're looking at my personal spy versus spy TBR. Added Stella Warrington first book to TBR. Yeah, me too. They have some authenticity. Um, and we looked at this one too. This was no, it wasn't a new release, but it was an interesting one, I thought. Liar's Candle. This is on my TBR. Penny Kessler, an intern at the U.S. Embassy in Ankara, Turkey, wakes up in a hospital on the morning of July 5th to find herself at the center of an international crisis. The day before, the embassy was the target of a devastating terrorist attack that killed hundreds of Penny's friends and colleagues. Not only has a photograph of Penny as she emerged from the rubble become the event's defining image, but for reasons she can't understand, her bosses believe she's a crucial witness. Suddenly, everyone is intensely interested in what Penny knows. But what does she know? And whom can she trust? As she struggles to piece together her memories, she discovers that Zach Robson, the young diplomat she's been falling for all summer, went missing during the attack. And one of the CIA's most powerful officials, Christina Ekdahl, wants people to believe Zach was a traitor. But what actually happened? Penny barely has time to ask before she discovers that her own government wants her dead. Soon, with only a single ally, a rookie intelligence officer fresh out of the Navy, she is running a perilous gauntlet, ruthlessly pursued by Turkey's most powerful forces and by the CIA. To survive, Penny must furiously improvise. Tradecraft takes a lifetime to master, and she has less than 36 hours. And she's only 21 years old. This is her first real test, and she can't fail. Liar's Candle by August Thomas. So that's on my TBR, on top of all my other TBR-ish books. This one was a new release a couple weeks ago, so this is also a backup to the scavenger hunt on Saturday. In Edwardian London, not all that glitters is gold, as a lady and an intelligence officer's secret mission take them from the city's dazzling ballrooms to its covert intelligence offices. Sir Merritt Livingston has spent a decade serving the monarch in the field, but when pneumonia lands him behind a desk in the War Office Intelligence Division just as they're creating a new secret intelligence branch, he's intent on showing his worth. He suspects an aristocrat of leaking information to Germany as tensions mount between the two countries, but he needs someone to help him prove it, so he turns to the Imposters Limited. No one knows who they are, but their results are beyond compare. Left with an estate on the brink of bankruptcy after their father's death, Lady Marigold Fairfax and her brother open a private investigation firm for the elite to spy on the elite. Dubbed the Imposters Limited, their anonymous group soon becomes the go-to for the creme of the society who want answers delivered surreptitiously. But the many secrets Marigold learns about her peers pale in comparison to her shock when she and her brother are hired to investigate her best friend's father as a potential traitor. Lady Marigold is determined to discover the truth for her friend's sake, and she's more determined still to keep her heart from getting involved with this enigmatic new client who can't possibly be as noble as he seems. First in a new series, historical, a little touch of romance. I'm going to read it. And then this one I just added. This one is probably going to get read sooner rather than later because I believe I have this from the library as well. The Brilliance of Stars by Janelle Ciselski? Okay. Uh, Action, romance, spies, secrets. Uh, Amid the chaos of the Great War, two elite assassins learn precisely how dangerous it is to have something or someone worth losing. Washington, D.C., 1914. Ivy Ulwin knows how to survive on the streets without 2 coins to rub together. Then destiny thrusts her into the nest of a covert agency of assassins sworn to drive back the world's darkness, and she acquires a new set of lethal skills. Her education, from explosives to etiquette, sharpshooting to sabotage, is as far reaching as the organization's missions. But it's the hours she spends among the towering bookshelves in the library and stargazing on the roof with Agent Jack Vale that makes her heart fly. Jack knew plenty of hardship before the agency refined his rough edges, transforming him into the man who never misses. But he didn't know the feeling of home until Ivy entered his world. Now Jack's heart drums with a singular purpose. He will fight for her, fight alongside her, no matter the cost. When the pair are sent on a seemingly simple mission to take down Russia's newest and most dangerous arms dealer, a soulless man using the Great Four as an opportunity to further his own depraved agenda, they discover that no amount of training could have prepared them for a manhunt that takes them across the frozen tundra to the Crimean Peninsula and along the Trans-Siberian Railway, only to discover that there is evil in the world that they will never understand. first in an epic duology. So that is also on my TBR. So of the books here, read that one, listening to that one. This one is a library book, and I think it's due before this one. So these two will probably be next. This one might jump the queue because if I want to count it for scavenger hunt, we will see. But that is what is on mine. Billions of Stars looks really, it does. Plus it's historical. You know, it's got a little touch of romance, country hops, things I like. Sorry, coffee is required. Just a minute. So I hope that is uh, some things that I will get to. I hope you get to read one or two. There's a lot of options. I think I did share my other um, Spy versus Spy that has everything listed here that we have talked about in the last couple weeks on at least one of my when I repost the lives. But there's lots and lots and lots to choose from if you want to dip your toes in some international intrigue, which is another good keyword to look at. Um, I was also thinking, let me go back to here for a nice, prettier kind of background there. I have also been playing around with some ideas for a couple other readathons coming up. One in November and one in January. If you want to get a sneak peek, I can do that. We have the time. We had been talking about in the Killer Cozies doing a nostalgia November. I know there's Nora November, but I was also thinking of doing a nostalgia November, which to me would be things like reading a childhood favorite, reading nostalgia adjacent, like if you have read Nancy Drew, maybe you want to try Trixie Belden or the Dana Girls or Cherry Ames was she. They are also younger crime ones. Nostalgia could be. Let's see. Let me go. Oh, it's not there. Is it not there? Let's see if I can open up. There it is. It's taking a minute. Um, so a favorite growing up, a reread that's brand new again, a nostalgia type book that you've not read yet, and things like that. Let me see if I can save. Does it? Let me see how I can save this page. I wonder how I can save this. Sorry, I'm going to move my light here. So I had started, I'd made a couple of graphs like the Spy versus Spy. I'm not seeing where I can share. I wonder if I can share it from here. Well, that's a bummer. Because I had one, and then I had a midwinter historical mystery readathon for January that I was hoping to get going as well. Got a bunch of little buttons up here, but nothing that shows that I can share it on screen with you guys right now. Well, that sucks. But so let me know what you think. I was the Nostalgia November. I don't think. I wonder if I could put it. I bet I could. Let's try. Let's try something. We got the time. And Kio's going, what? Let's do it this way. Ah ha ha. We will be go another way. They will not defeat us. Let's see. Let's just take a second here. And then we'll add the other one. And then I'll give you guys that sneak peek. What I'm doing is I have a blog that I do for my mom. Well, I do it for me to keep track of some of the things. Interested in midwinter? Very true. You can have things that count for both. All right. So here is the Bookeemonsters Nostalgia November Readathon logo. And of course, these days, nostalgia is like 20 years ago, so that still puts us in the 2000s. So it can be anything you want it to be. And then for the midwinter historical mysteries, we've got that logo. Because I was thinking, I don't know of anything that happens really in January. Of course, I'm kind of new to this, but it also seems like a good month to, in winter you read those thicker books, and not necessarily that historical mysteries are thicker epic books, but you just kind of hunker down and read those meatier books rather than the beach reads. So I thought January might be a good month to have people try some historical mysteries, which are my first love. I love them to death. Ah, thank you. I was looking around. I was kind of being inspired on Friday night. So as far as I know, those were the copyright free ones. Never set in my stay as I always get the nostalgia feels. I have only found a few books and they have Blink and You Miss It Small Towns, which always gets me. Oh, yeah. Midwinter sounds fun too. Yeah, because you got like January doesn't really lend itself to alliterative, there's tons and tons of September because there's only one month and there's lots of S type of. I've seen space opera September, My Spy versus Spy, second book September, and so forth. But I've not really seen anything for January, so I thought that might be a good thing to try. We will see. Oh, I just noticed one of my power plugs went out, which I can do now because Keo isn't laying on my foot at the moment. He's been laying here. I have to give him a brush today. He is shedding everywhere. So, other than that, I think that's all I was set to show you. Was there anything you want? What are you guys reading? What do you got going this week? Exactly. In January is feeling a fresh new year and they're inspired to read. Yeah, because by December, there's a lot of desperate, I must hit my goal kind of reading in January. Whew, the pressure's off. Can try some new things, hopefully. Except when the author completely changes the geography and area, and then I'm irritated the entire series. Yes, I'm looking at you, Charlene Harris. I have a hard time reading books set in Montana because so many of them, I don't think I've ever been here. Yes, we have computers and the internet. We don't ride around in stagecoaches. We aren't attacked by tribes. Conversely, I've not watched all of Yellowstone. I've watched a couple episodes of Yellowstone, the series, and no, the natives aren't mafia like. We're just people. They never get it. Yes, it's fiction. I get it. I get it, but I always have a hard time with things set in Montana. It's okay. Sorry, Kio's here going, scratch me under my chin. Alicia's reading Alias Emma. Are you liking it? I hope you're liking it. I think that's a romanticized version, definitely. And a lot of the shows that are supposed to be Montana are actually filmed in like New Mexico, Arizona, California. Jen, I'm the same way about a lot of books in the South, especially Mississippi. Lots of stereotypes. Yeah. People never have not been there. So they just pick and choose. That's okay. There are people who do like that. Love it. Very fast paced. Yes, it is. And it's under 300 pages. So not only does it go fast, it goes fast and it's done. But the next book, The Trader, comes out in a couple weeks. I think it's the 19th. So it is a good one. Okay, it says, one was the Bird Box duology. The author is from Michigan. The other was a wolf one, not from Michigan, but it had the small towns no one knows about. I thought it was cool. Often they, like in the Montana books, they'll make up small towns because they don't want to use actual landmarks and have people be angry at them that, oh, you put the street in the wrong place, kind of thing. That's a one way. Have I watched the TV show Big Sky? No, I have not. I've not watched a lot of TV lately, and I need to watch. Today would be great to catch up on a lot of the booktubes because I'm so behind. Okay, I'm currently reading Into the Drowning Deep, Encyclopedia of Fairies and the Cozy. I like having more than one girl. Sorry. Keo is here going, pet me. Yeah, I have to brush him. The Drowning Deep. Are you, Jen said she was working. Are you guys off today? I like the 3 days in a row off. Sometimes, at the beginning it seems, oh, so long. And then by the time you're on the third, it's like, oh, I ran out of time. There's so much I needed to do. But my plans for today, I need to finish doing the laundry. I need to brush Keo. I should do some cleaning, but I'll probably just nap and read. Get that horrific book out of my brain. Alicia's off today. Yeah, it's going to be kind of a quiet day, I think, in our neighborhood. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it is cooler out today, so it's going to be really nice. He's off today. I'm feeling that way. I just want to read and relax. Oh, you got to take advantage of that so much. Okay, I'm a stay-at-home mom of an autistic teenager. I work all the time. That's very true. That is a 24/7 job. Cajun off today. Oh, good. Well, I hope you guys have a lovely Monday. Tonight is reading sprints on Storm's channel, Storm Reads. Next Monday will be on Lee's channel, Dark Roots Creations. My schedule this week is Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 6:05 Mountain Time, 8:05 Eastern Time, and we'll go for 2.5 hours. Bring your own book. And Saturday at 1 p.m. my time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and we go for like 4 or 5 hours. This last Saturday, we did 5 hours. Got a lot of reading done, or work on a project. I'd like to work on a project one of these times. But there's so many books to read. Oh, you're welcome. I so appreciate you guys showing up. Yeah, great ones to start with if you are dipping your toes in. Um, I mentioned in one of the previous ones, but if you are just brand new, don't know where to jump in, if you like cozies, Secret History of the Pink Carnation, fantastic. Alias Emma, great thriller. Um, where did it go? If you want something fun, The Unexpected Mrs. Polifax by Dorothy Gilman. Where did At Risk go? Did we go by it already? If you want like a traditional team, there it is. MI5 kind of story, At Risk by Stella Remington. Red Cell by Mark Henshaw was great for intelligence. Historical, oh my gosh, The Rose Code is so good. Oh yeah, middle grade, City Spies, Spy School, Manga, Spy X Family. Daniel Silva, The Kill Artist. These are such great historical mysteries. It does get a little bit further into the series, more into intelligence. But the ones by Tasha Alexander. Secret Service, read that. That's good. Killing Eve, TV series based on these books. That looked fun. The Money Penny Diaries. Killers of a Certain Age. So yeah, lots of good options. I hope you dip your toes in. Enjoy your holiday or just your day. Exactly. So anyway, we're almost at the hour. So I appreciate we had extra time today. I appreciate you guys coming. Um, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please hit like, subscribe, notification bell. Tell people about us if you're so inclined. The more of us, the merrier. See you hopefully tomorrow morning when we'll be starting to look at the romance new releases this week, and the cozy mysteries. We'll start with those tomorrow, and then again tomorrow night, reading sprints. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful day. Remember, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om nom nom. And you don't get good person points if you're reading something you don't like. Don't do what I did yesterday with that horrific book. And have a wonderful day. God bless. Bye bye.